Miriam Moreno, everybody.
Hey, this is crazy. Who feels like a terrible person after watching those two people that give back and whatever? Yeah, I want to cry. Yeah, this is great. How are you guys? Yeah. All right, I don't know you. You don't know me. So I'll start with an icebreaker. Have you guys ever read those books? Little Miss Sunshine or Mr. Man? Little tiny books? Yeah, well, for this joke you did. So, my mom bought me one of those books when I was younger. It was a really long title, though. It was Little Miss Low Self-Esteem with Daddy Issues Who Will Never Trap a Man into Loving Her and Waters a Garden with Tears of Abandonment. You guys may have heard of it. Just kidding. It was pulled off the shelves because apparently they track your social skills through kindergarten, which is crazy. Yeah, my mom's crazy. I live on Colfax, like in Cap Hill. Well, I live in Cap Hill, but my alley's in Detroit. So the other day I was walking out of my house, and there was these two guys hanging out by the dumpster. I didn't even question it, whatever. And one of them's like, hey, girl, hey, girl. And I just kept walking to my car, and then one of them just goes, fucking spick. And, sorry. And then I was like, what? How does he know? Obviously, it's my eyebrows that gave it away, because I didn't say anything. And I didn't know how he figured it out, but it really threw me off, and so I was like, whatever. I kept walking. So now I'm just looking for any excuse to be angry, you know? I saw these three girls coming into a bar, and they were wearing these little witch hats, you know, those little cool witch hats that are in now, and I was like, oh, you would wear those little witch hats. Now you're just culturally appropriating Salem witch trials. And it's like, well, yeah, maybe that's their culture if you go far back enough. That's probably fine, you know? But yeah, I had to rein it in, you know, be like, hey, Miriam, that's too much, you know? Don't bite the hand that fed you Cool Ranch Doritos and Nerf ball. That's terrible. Let's see. I'm not a woman hater. I love women, and I think we should all empower each other. And but I did realize there is a difference between first world feminism and real world feminism. Like, real world feminism is saving women from dowry burnings and you know, being sold into sex trafficking. And then in America, it's like, oh, I was really underrepresented in Space Jam, so I need an all-female remake of Space Jam. It's like, yeah, I guess I can get behind that. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Let's see, yeah, like I mentioned, my mom is a weirdo. I was talking to her the other day, and I was like, hey, do you remember when we were younger and we would spend like 8 hours at church and then come back home and cry? She's like, oh yeah, we were Baptist for a year. I was like, oh, you just didn't mention it, that's fine. But then I remember the priest or the pastor would take all the kids into the basement and, you know, do a little youth group. And then he'd say like, hey, you have to tell me your sins. And as a 6-year-old, you don't know the difference between sins and secrets. So you're just like, oh yeah, I touched myself. And the priest was like, well, you better stop it. God's watching you. And all I could think was like, so this guy is just up there watching me chafe my genitals on the coffee table and not giving me a technique. That seems pretty rude. Just me, that's fine. So yeah, religion is crazy to me. Like I mentioned, I live off Colfax, a block away from Colfax. My mom's always scared I'm gonna get kidnapped, you know, which is a legitimate fear. But she always thinks like, hey, what if a guy comes and he's like, get into my van? I'm just gonna be like, yeah, I'm gonna walk away. I'm a grown woman, Mom. That's how that works, right? But I know realistically I'm just gonna be like, oh, well, you obviously like me. What do you say we get drinks? That's fine. That's how you get a date nowadays, you guys. I'm very flawed, obviously. I think it's because I never had a quinceañera, and I'm still reeling from that. But I decided to date nicer boys now. You know, the other day I was in Lodo. Do you guys know Lodo? Yeah. Nobody likes to be there, but you end up there. because your friend's getting married and it's her last night as a single freedom, whatever. So anyway, I was down there and I realized I was very cynical. You know, any guy that came up to me, I was like, no, go away, whatever. And I was like, Miriam, you were not like this when you were 18. Like, you were like, yeah, any guy, come dance with me. I might get married tomorrow. Like, and now it's just like, it's never gonna happen, whatever. But the difference is, I think, because if you guys grew up in Denver, you know, do you remember Bash nightclub? Is anyone that old? No. Do you remember Vinyl? Going there when you were 17, pretending to be 18. Oh, yeah. Yeah, partying like you were 21. Yeah, it was awful. Yeah, I would go there too. And as an 18-year-old, your first club, you didn't know you could just say no and then a next guy would come by. So you would just, you know, kind of stand there and then any guy would just come behind you and you thought this was dancing for the longest time. You thought this was it. You didn't realize how long Pony by Genuine was until your knees buckled. It was awful. Yeah. But now I'm trying to date nicer boys, you know. Boys so nice that, you know, they probably grew up with a peanut allergy and eczema. You know, so sheltered. Does anyone here have a peanut allergy or eczema? I'm personally attacking you. I'm so sorry. But I like you. Yeah, that's who I'm going for now. But who I usually go for is, you know, boys that end up making my tacos at Qdoba or something. You know, I walk in, I'm just like, hey, can I get extra queso? They're just like, I really shouldn't be doing this, but I won't tell. I'm just like, oh my God, you're crazy. I'm dating the manager of Qdoba for free queso. It's not my best work, you guys. Let's see. My mom, again, she's a crazy little Hispanic. She always took like my shyness for weakness when I was growing up, you know? So she'd push me on to people like, hey, you be nice to that man. Or you say hi to that lady. And then when I come home at 23 with HPV, she gets really mad. It's like, you told me to be nice to strangers, Mom. I don't understand. I'm really scared of going to the doctor, you guys. Not because like I can't hear, can't see, but like she's gonna be like, you have 10 good years to live. And be like, oh my God, can I still have babies? She's gonna be like, no. All the Plan B you took in your early 20s has cocooned your uterus. Nothing is coming in or out of there. That's how Plan B works, you guys. If you're new to it, if you're hip to it, good for you. Yeah, I talked about catcalling earlier. I don't know if that was catcalling, but he just wanted to talk to me, I guess, and I ignored him and he was mad. But, you know, men are always telling women, what's the worst that can happen? Just take a compliment. It's like, the worst that can happen, I'll let you know. When I was 21, I was riding my bike down Broadway and 20th, and this guy came up in his car next to me, and he was hitting on me, and I was like, well, I'm just going to keep driving. This is weird. I'm not going to pull over. So I told him, like, leave me alone, dude. Leave me alone. And then he kind of chased me around Broadway and 20th. And then when I finally flipped him off to leave me alone, he got so mad he hit me with his car and he took off. It's like, yeah, that's the worst thing that can happen from catcalling. So when someone says, just take a compliment, yeah, maybe. Maybe, that's right. But the worst part was after, when the ambulance came. So I landed on my butt. Did you guys know you can get a road rash just on your butt? I didn't until that night. My butt is still uneven. Half my cheeks are on Broadway. Anyway, I landed on my butt. I was wearing sequin shorts. Nothing happened to the shorts. My butt, however, did not survive. But I landed on my butt, and then I was sitting there, and it just felt wet. It felt like a pool. I swear to God, I thought I broke my private parts, and I was just bleeding out. And I was like, no, oh my God, call the cops. Then I realized it was urine. I was like, nobody come near me. I will save myself. It was more embarrassing than getting hit by the car. It was peeing yourself. I didn't know you could pee yourself unless it was like, I found out later it was because of shock, and if a car hits you, then that's when it happens. Then the ambulance came, they put me in a gurney, and all I could say to them was like, "Oh my God, don't call my mom." And they're like, "You're like 21, you don't have to tell your mom." I was like, "You don't understand, she'll find out." But they strapped me down in the gurney, and then I was fighting with them so much about what hospital to take me to. They were like, "You could have broken your back." I was like, "I don't care." I was just tied down, swaying back and forth. Then they finally strapped the head thing on my head because I was so resistant. Then on the way there, they asked me, "Ma'am, how many drinks have you had?" And all I said was, "Just like half a beer. It's not my fault, the guy hit me." And then when I got to the hospital, and then they took me in, they were like, "How much have you had to drink?" "Like 2 tall cans, it's not a big deal." Then the doctor came in, and he was like, "How much did you drink tonight? We're gonna do a CAT scan, but I need to know for sure." "Like 3 shots of whiskey and 2 tall cans. I don't know why this is relevant." Turns out they were blaming me for the incident. I think the moral of the story is don't be a girl. It sucks, you guys. All right, but that's all I got. Thank you.
For just a sec. So I hear High Plains Comedy Fest, right? What is that? Well, tell us about that. Tell us what your involvement there is.
Oh, I'm running an open mic at High Plains Comedy Fest with a couple of my friends. I think the fest has been running for 3 years or 4 years, and it's got comics from all over Denver and then some out-of-towners, which is cool.
Awesome. If people want to come there and find you there, or if people want to track you down in general, only in like a semi-creepy way, how might they be able to do that?
Well, the schedule isn't up yet, so I don't know how anyone would stalk me, but I know it's the 26th through the 28th, so that week of August, so that weekend. Yeah.
Awesome. How about just generally to find you, Twitter, Facebook, website, anything you want to hand out to the public like that?
Yeah, just Miriam Moreno on Facebook, and then Twitter is FemShark, and Instagram is Catholic Guilt.
Awesome. Thank you for being here tonight. Really appreciate it.